say all that to say this is that usually when women have conversations about relationships with men, there is some measure of sexual negotiation involved in it. There's some dance already going on.
I'm sorry, I got distracted. But go ahead, what now? What were you saying?
And that being the case, we have to figure out new ways to communicate or start communicating with men where there's no potential or sexual negotiation going. And it's very difficult for women to do that.
No, it's not.
Well, it's difficult.
In a good way. That's really
well, it's difficult in certain ways because you could be talking to a guy who's in his head trying to figure out has motives.
Right.
So you have to figure out ways and use your intuition when a dude doesn't, but get information from him rather than from your girlfriends, because your girlfriends are by and large passing on misinformation.
So basically, you're saying if I'm hanging with 4 or 5 lonely bitches that don't have men, I should really not talk to them because they don't have it right. So therefore, they're not going to be able to provide me with good information. I feel you. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more after the break. 8772-106-106. We'll be back with more with Hill Harper after the break.
Cell phone number.
Yo, we're back on. What up? Oh, we're on.
Yeah. Listen, alcohol and you.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Claudia Jordan Show and the
Pigeon.
Right on, y'all, with special in-house guest, Hill Harper.
You don't know his name, but did your friend stalk him? We'll get to that later.
Oh, really?
You were stalked by one of our friends.
Oh, God,
wow.
no. That's
No way.
so wrong.
Oh, was that you?
But no. He knows. No.
Okay.
Welcome back,
Moving
y'all.
on.
Welcome back.
We're talking about having conversation. Your book,
Absolutely.
Conversation.
Yes.
Yes. How
Have
important
the
it is.
relationship you like.
That's right. And how
You gotta
important
talk,
it is.
ladies. You gotta talk before you give it up.
That's right.
Portia,
And
you're
of course,
speaking.
I am speaking.
Portia's
I was just
exempt.
gonna-
Portia's
Please
exempt.
communicate with our guests.
I'm not exempt. I was going to just tell everybody the title of this book, The Conversation, How Black Men and Women Can Build Loving, Trusting Relationships.
Why? The brothers, why can't we get it together? We have the white folks, the Asiatics, the Latinos. They're 70% married and locked down, and then the sisters are all lonely and bitter and angry and pissed off and mad and fucked up. Why is it us? Is it related to
both brothers and sisters, we have an inordinate amount of baggage that we're carrying, and we seem to carry it right into our
Is
relationships.
that from the slave masters?
Well, well, here's actually a question, too. Do you think that, of course, music and television within the black community has a lot to do with
perpetuating what stereotypes and
I think that without question, but music and television, our entertainment industry has done more to decimate folks' self-esteem and talk about than virtually anything else. You know, as far as pop culture viewing and all of that, and the use of the B word, H word, all that.
and getting rid of James Evans on Good Times.
Yes, that was
They
a pivotal
destroyed the black
time.
community.
What?
No, they got rid of the strong male.
Hill Harper,
presence.
may you continue.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
Sorry.
But here's the deal. But entertainment is just a reflection of what's going on. You see what I'm saying? So you know, it becomes a chicken egg problem. Is it the entertainment that's making it bad, or is it actually really bad, and the entertainment is just expressing what's going on?
Exactly.
And so I would suggest that we really all have to first have those conversations. And
Why us so much more? Why us so much more?
Because no matter what it is, it's us so much more.
Right.
And so here's the deal. I just don't want to get to what Malcolm Gladwell, talks about as the tipping point. The reason why we got to deal with black men and women right now, and the reason why it's a crisis, the reason why I wrote this book, the reason why I want to start the conversation, the reason why us being on the air for an hour talking about this is so critical is because we are getting to a point where if we don't deal with it now, our generation is witnessing the destruction of the black family.
That's right.
And if these numbers continue the way they are, we're going to get down to 20% and then 10%. And then we're not going to have the fabric of the black family. There's no reason why we can't, over the next 2 to 4 years, make that meter start going up 35, 36, 40%. Just turn it around.
It's very sad
way.
to know that, especially I see here a lot of black women that are successful a lot of times are remaining on the market, the dating market longer, not having relationships, not finding their equals, not finding mates.
Right.
And that's really depressing. I think
You just said something that's another tip word.
What I said?
You just said not finding their equals.
Okay.
And I found in doing the book that all I would hear from many women would they say, I'm sure you've heard something like this, I want to date someone who's on my level.
Right. Mhm.
Right? They say that, right? And what's interesting about that, it goes back to the point of that 5% rule. What I did in doing the research for the book is I had women and men fill out extremely detailed profiles themselves, talk about their credit, talk about debt, talk about relationships, past relationships, talk about everything in a profile. right? And once they developed some trust with me, they really were honest. They knew that it was all private, and if they didn't want their names revealed, they
What's your
wouldn't,
FICO score, by the way?
and so what happened is that a number of interviews later, I would talk to them about relationships, right? And this is so they would not know what was really going on as far as connectivity. And it was brilliant. I'd say, okay, what are you looking for? I want somebody who's on my level. I want an equal, like you just said. You know, it's a tip word.
Right.
And I'd say, well, describe the person that you want to be with. And they'd write all this stuff. Oh my goodness, he's this, and he has this, and he's did this, and this. And they'd be like, you know, I watch Oprah. I have a vision board, and this is what I put on my vision board.
Vision
you know,
board.
all this, right? And then I would hold up their profile. Their real profile that they gave me about a month before.
It was garbage.
No.
They're just real. It's just real.
Right.
And then I would hold up the actual profile that they just wrote for their supposed on their level. And this person was so here. It was unreal. It was unrealistic. The true person that was on their level, they didn't want to write him down. The guy that actually had credit card debt just like they
You gotta
did.
take a look at
The
yourself.
guy that had a car
Right.
note just like they did.
Right.
The guy that was doing the best of his job but wasn't necessarily as happy with the exact job or place where they are, just like she is.
And I see that a lot. I'm definitely a woman that encourages my fellow women to get their stuff together. I hung around with a girl, very beautiful on the outside, and that's it. You know, we'd have conversations about what she wanted in a man, and her list was very high. She wanted a traditional man that wanted, you know, a wife and all these things, and she wanted the picket fence and a big house, but yet she wasn't willing to, like, cook for a man. She wasn't bringing anything to the table. And I think there's a lot of women, especially black women out there,
Right.
that expect
Right.
this guy at this level, like what you're saying, and they're not bringing them, you know, they're not bringing
Anything to the table.
their weight
You're
to the
right.
table. So, you know, I encourage you got to be a complete individual, not look for
Right.
that person to complete you, and you got to be bringing something as